Welcome to Unbridled. This is a space where we can share stories and ask the big questions, laugh at the absurdities, and learn things not taught in textbooks. It's a place where we share truth, even the weird parts, sometimes teaching what we've learned along the way and sometimes discovering new things together. I'm your host, Jenna Davis, and I'm starting this podcast because I've come to realize your path to purpose may not always make sense when you're living it. It might look like detours and roadblocks, wrong turns. For me, it was a lot of what the hell am I doing moments. But now when I look back, I realize it's not a mess. It's a map that branches out in so many directions, eventually leading me back to me. There's a certain kind of man who doesn't just build a business. He builds a life with intention, with presence, and with grace. And every now and then, that man stands at a crossroad. Today's guest is one of those men. Frank Quinn spent over 15 years managing the Riverwalk in New Orleans, a role that shaped the city as much as it shaped him. Then he made the bold pivot, stepping into a high-pressure world of corporate, private, and commercial security. Co-founder of Nola Protection, overseeing security for the Superdome, Jazz Fest, Mardi Gras, concerts, movie sets, the Super Bowl, and more. But none of that compares to the pivot he's facing now, sending his daughter Amelia across the country to begin a new chapter in her life without him. She's going to college. And this episode isn't just about career transitions. It's about identity and fatherhood and reinvention and what it takes to stand at the edge of the life you're building and choose to evolve. This is all about the pivot. And Frank, thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
We have known each other now for almost 14 years. You and my husband have been friends lifetime, pretty much, right?
Yes, through our kids.
Yeah. So I met Amelia when she was tiny, but let's go back to when you were with Riverwalk.
Sure.
Tell me about that. How did that begin? What was your journey like there?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a family business, and it crashed like many other businesses in '08, and I had to find something to do with my life. And at that time, I was fortunate to find a company that was willing to hire me to do some local leasing, and I just really excelled at it. Took the Riverwalk, I think, from 30% to about 90% occupied.
Wow.
And we did that with the intention of then shutting it back down and completely redeveloping it into the first downtown outlet mall in the country.
Right.
And I really enjoyed that journey. The excitement was building it, getting all the entitlements, finding the new tenants, kind of seeing that vision come all the way through to fruition.
Right.
And it was a great position that I enjoyed a really long time.
Yeah.
I remember fondly the roads and sidewalks in New Orleans are so bad. I would bring my daughter and she would rollerblade down the hallways early in the morning before anybody showed up. And I'll always remember that fondly. And it was a great place to be. And I think, after another dozen years or so managing the center, it was time to make a move.
Right. So did something create that nudge for you to pivot? How did Nola Protection kind of evolve?
I started Nola Protection back in 2012 while I still had the job.
Right.
And we focused entirely on movies, managed the center all the way through COVID. COVID, our business had to pivot. There was no filming for 7 or 8 months.
Right.
So we got into doing a lot of healthcare. We were at hospitals and healthcare facilities all over South Louisiana. And we just got really busy in an unconventional way. So we weren't used to doing that type of work. So the security business really took off at a time when it was COVID, so the Riverwalk was closed down.
Right.
And when we started talking about reopening later that fall, I realized that the business was in such a critical place that I couldn't leave it again to then go back and be in a corporate environment office every day. It just wasn't going to be feasible. So I called my boss and explained to him that I wouldn't be returning back to the office. And if he wanted me to leave today, I'd leave today. If he wanted me to leave in 2 months, I was flexible.
Right.
But I just wasn't going to be able to go back to being there full time and dedicate 100%.
But they made you a good offer, right, to stay?
Yeah, they made me a great offer to stay.
Yeah.
You know, the center is such a complicated piece of dirt. It's got 800 pages of ground leases. So
Wow.
that institutional knowledge that I had from working through the redevelopment meant that, you know, as they tried to sell the property, they would need someone like me, or preferably me, to try to help navigate through all those different documents with the potential buyers. So they made me an attractive offer to stay for a year that allowed me the flexibility that I could focus my time on my company, Nola Protection, as it was growing, and be there for them as the need came up,
Right.
but not on a daily basis.
Right.
And that worked really, really well. And, you know, I'm happy to say we ended up selling the property within 3 days of my deadline. So it worked out for them. It worked out for me. And it was a good departure.
Wow, that's exciting. So how is running a security company different from what people might think?
For us, you know, our business is not a lot of just traditional Barney Fife style security. So for us, every day is different. You know, we do so many large scale events. We work with the Pelicans. We work with the Saints. There's so many festivals. New Orleans is an event driven town.
Right.
So it's generally moving from one big thing to the next. You know, we had Super Bowl this year, which, you know, we were able to employ close to 600 people throughout that week. We had events all across the city. And during Super Bowl, everybody's a celebrity. Everybody's famous. Everybody needs special attention.
Right.
So I was really proud of the team that we pulled together for that. And it gives you such a rewarding feeling on the back end to see this was such a big mountain for us to climb in that short period. And the fact that we were able to do it, and all of our customers were happy.
Yeah.
They all paid, which was even better. It gives us momentum going in through the rest of the year. And now, you know, we're getting ready to head into what normally would be our biggest event of the year, except for Super Bowl. And we feel like we're in a great position, the best position we've been in since.
So what goes into planning security for large festivals and things like the Super Bowl?
Basically, you start as early as possible. You work with the promoter to identify the different locations, the different needs. Crowd control becomes a big issue. You know, you want to make sure that you don't ever put too many people in one area. And then we kind of identify our key players for our key positions, and work down the list and try to identify the best person for the best job. Whether it's 20 people, 100 people, 200 people, doesn't matter. The trick comes when you have an event like Super Bowl, where, as I mentioned, everybody's important.
Right.
And you've got 30 of these across the city. So, you know, that was a little more challenging just because we couldn't put our best people all in the same place.
Right.
So to be able to divide them up and recruit new people that fit our culture and fit our ideology was a challenge, but I'm glad we were able to overcome it.
Yeah. Well, are there any stories you can tell us from like movie sets or concerts that would be interesting?
Not to keep harping on Super Bowl, but we did so many events during Super Bowl. By the time the game rolled around, we were ready to relax and enjoy it, you know, after a week's worth of securing parties across town. And of course, at halftime, Philadelphia's up pretty significantly, and they feel like they're going to win. And we're at a bar and restaurant watching the game with some of my key team members, and Saquon Barkley's people call. It's his birthday. They're up.
Oh, no.
He's going to go out and celebrate tonight after they win the Super Bowl and his birthday at the same time. And we had to pull, I don't know, half a dozen executive protection guys together, you know, in a couple hours of notice to be able to guard him after he won the Super Bowl on his birthday with very little notice. We get in situations a lot of times when people call us, it's sometimes a really bad day for them. And when they need us urgently.
Right.
You know, we the terrorist attack over New Year's was a good instance of that. We got calls from some of the national news channels that were sending their correspondents and their producers down to film, and they were already on the plane headed to us, waiting for security to receive them. And
Right.
obviously that was a pretty trying time for downtown New Orleans, and the fact that we were able to accommodate them. I think one national news broadcast had 6 different crews.
Wow.
From one channel out of New York, and we were able to accommodate them and make sure that we covered each crew with no issues, and some of them ended up staying almost a week.
Wow.
Until the news cycle kind of changed.
Wow. What's something that people don't realize about the type of security that you do?
The most difficult, especially with the events, is the ramping up and ramping down. So you've got to find significant numbers of people. You've got to license them. They've all got to have background checks. They get fingerprinted. And then on the back end, we may not have as much work for them.
Right.
So we keep a good couple hundred employed every week, no matter what. But, for us to be able to flex up and flex down for those large scale events is always a little challenging.
Right. Is there a moment that you felt the responsibility of all this severely, maybe in a way you didn't like for a minute or two?
I never felt really overwhelmed, to the point of say, exasperation.
Right.
I've always just believed that, when you've got a lot to do, just get in earlier and stay a little later and work your way through it. And I'm a big believer in tackle the big rocks first and worry about the pebbles later on. And just realizing that while some things are important, they may not be urgent. So focus on what needs to be done.
Right.
In the order of when it needs to be done.
Right.
And then, what I've done a lot of, especially over the last couple of years, is as we've grown, we're doubling in size every couple of years, is hire for whatever is taking up my time.
Right.
So, if I'm getting pulled into operations a lot and having to help different departments out on that side, well, then I need to hire more for that department.
Right.
At some point, the sales got too big, and I couldn't do all the sales physically myself. So I brought in a guy to do sales, and whenever I bring in one of those key guys or girls, I will basically just have them shadow me for about a month.
Right.
And just watch what I do, watch how I interact with not only the people in the company, but our customers, the outside public, and just get a feel for it for literally about a month before they even take a phone call or an email.
That's smart.
And it's worked well, and it's one way for me to continue to focus on long-term growth because I'm not getting tied up with repetitive things over and over during the day.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so we're going to shift gears a little bit. And for you personally, bigger than any Super Bowl or any concert event, you have a pretty big event in your life coming up where you're going to have to make a pivot, or you're in the process of that. Your daughter, who you have been a hands-on father for her whole life, always showing up, she is getting ready to leave you behind and go launch herself at college in California. So how are you feeling about that? Like, where does this, if you're putting this in as a business perspective, let's do it in business terms. How is this affecting your path?
I think I've been a single dad, since she was 5, and that, as you mentioned, really has been my primary purpose in life. And I read a lot about single parenthood, when I first separated from her mother, and I wanted to make sure that she wasn't a statistic. So I wanted to be over involved, not to the point of helicoptering, but a lot of times I would level with her, treat her way above her age, and that being my primary focus and my number one goal is to launch her into adulthood. The fact that it's now happening, it's extremely rewarding because I've got a very well-mannered, very intelligent, beautiful young daughter who I think is as prepared as can be for the next step in her life. It's nice to not have a bunch of concern about the fact that I believe she'll be successful in what she tries to do. It's more about, what am I going to do when I wake up? Right. And how am I going to feel not really being needed? As your child gets older, they need you less and less. And it definitely changes the relationship and changes how I feel about myself.
Well, I feel like if you're lucky enough as a parent to get to feel that grief of launching and letting go, that's something to embrace. That's something to actually, to not, I think I see a lot of parents, I see a lot of people like suppress that or push that down or deny it and just, but it's not. And if you feel that and you let it shape you, it just makes the whole dynamic even more powerful for later. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something to, embrace. I mean, like we were talking about, you don't have to have a plan, but what's your plan?
I'm going to go visit a lot. Who knows? Maybe go buy a condo out there. But seriously, I think, now we're more connected than ever. And like I said, I don't have a lot of worries about her. So I'm just going to embrace the change. And I have one of my best friends from high school who lives out there. I have a brother that works on Rodeo Drive. I have a father that's a couple hours away in San Diego. So I would assume I'll go visit a lot more than I did in the past.
Amelia's lucky to have all of us going to be right at her doorstep.
Plenty of friends and family out there.
How have you purposely shown up for Amelia during her teens that will carry over with her when she's in California?
The biggest thing, I believe, is giving her a sense of independence, letting her figure things out on her own, letting her fail in some instances. There was a time when she had a teacher that she just couldn't click with, and she was failing that class, and it got her so disheartened that it brought down all of her other grades to the extent that, we thought we might have to find a new school. But she made the decision to drop that class. All of her other classes immediately started getting better. And had I made her sit down every day with me study and just harped on her, I don't think she would have come out of it with the sense of independence that she has. She, for the most part, makes her own decisions. And while I don't always agree with them, I support her ability to do so.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time where you've had to you just knew it was just, okay, way wrong, and tried to help navigate and intervene more than you would have liked to have had to do?
Very rarely, I use, like I said, I always leveled with her. So, I would, explain to her, don't be in a rush to have sex with high school boys. They're going to suck at it.
Okay.
You'd see her and her not her close friends. I'm not going to name any names, but at some point, kids start smoking pot in high school, and I was like, "Don't be the one that's holding. You don't want to get caught with it. You don't want to be having 5 other friends coming to you all day long because you've got weed, asking you to smoke. Like, just don't be the one that's holding. Try to make responsible decisions and do the right thing. And I think leveling with her, as I mentioned, has set her up hopefully for success.
Right. Okay.
Could go off the track so far, but so far so good.
So any plans for the absence there? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but maybe here, something, maybe?
I think, balance is obviously very important in life. And as potentially, I looked at my yesterday. Balance is really important in life. And I found that, early in my career, because I was growing my own company while working a corporate job, I had to let my health slide a little bit. I wasn't active. I had a lot more stress, and you carry stress. Unfortunately, you can carry different parts of your body.
Yes.
And
talk about that a lot.
Yeah, it can really wear you down. So what I've really focused on the last couple of years is I told myself during the week I would either play tennis or go to the gym every weekday, and I'm pretty good at it, at least 80-90% of the time, and it has obviously helped in many ways.
Yeah.
Not just do you feel better, you look better, but mentally I'm more prepared for the day. I'm able to relieve any stress. That balance that you have in life, whether it's being able to dive in and work really hard for a short period when you're needed, but the reward and the relaxation and the calm that you get from stepping away is just as important as being able to dive in.
For sure.
For those, crunch periods.
So personally, Do you think that this pivot that you're going through right now on a personal level, how do you think it'll affect you personally? You are one of New Orleans' most eligible bachelors.
Maybe.
What do you, do you think that it'll stay that way?
I'm not really good at being single. So
right.
I'm generally, in a relationship with someone. And I told myself a while back that I was going to stop wasting time with women. Mm-hmm. I would, at some point, either lose interest or want to move on and didn't want to be the bad guy, and I would stay longer than I needed to. Mm-hmm. So now, I'm committed to whoever I'm seeing. And I'm fortunately seeing somebody right now. To giving it my all, mm-hmm. showing up, really trying to make it work. And then if it doesn't, move on. Yeah. Not kind of stay in that it's pretty good zone.
Frank, I've been with you. I've seen
I don't want things to be fairly well.
Right.
I want them to be great.
Right.
So I'm going to do my part to try to make them great. And if they're not, then at least I gave it a shot. I have no regrets.
Do you know what I think? I was, Nelson and I talk about this sometimes. We talk about you sometimes. Especially with, who's dating, the friends, there's a lot, he has a lot of single friends, and they'll bring their new girlfriends or their new dates. And we're always like, love to meet them and everything. And then, we'll kind of give it a little time, but it's funny because with you, I'm like, like Frank is layered. You're very layered. There's a lot to you, even though, you may not, it takes time to know that, to find that out. There's a lot to you. And I think that what I've seen anyway is that people resonate with, like you see something in someone that you can relate to and you resonate with, but then you've got so much more that when those things start to resonate to another thing, they don't have that other thing. So you're kind of fizzle. Do you know what I mean? But I think that, they always say, when you meet your match or whatever, but when you meet your match, you just be ready because she's going to have a lot of layers. And maybe you've met her. I don't know. But she's going to have a lot of layers. And layers often can make things not easy sometimes, But it also keeps things interesting, and that allows the relationship to have growth.
Great point.
Was there any specific little moment recently that kind of hit you of like, this is real, like my daughter's really leaving?
Sure, graduation day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I cried through the whole thing. It was very, very proud, very emotional day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think obviously, we're just really enjoying the summer right now, trying to hang out and travel and do what we want, where we want, when we want, for the most part.
Yeah.
And get ready for the next step.
And so if you were sitting here, is there anything about you that maybe Amelia, y'all are very close. And is there anything about you that maybe she doesn't truly recognize yet that you hope that she'll recognize in the future?
I really hope she'll learn the value of hard work. Mm-hmm. I think that it's a balance with kids of how much do you give them versus how much do you let them earn it. Mm-hmm. And, since I only have one child and I'm fortunate to do pretty well for myself, it's definitely something I question quite a bit is how much do I give her and how much do I make her?
Okay, so let's talk about it. So the best dad flex that Amelia got because of your business.
Sure. So a few months ago, we had a big event with Travis Scott, and it was extremely high profile. The production was just incredible, but it was a very exclusive party. I think there was only 700 people in the room. Oh, wow. And I hired her boyfriend and a bunch of his high school senior friends to help out with crowd control. And I told her, hey, I might give you a call. If so, just come meet me. And I called her, and she grabbed a friend and immediately left the party. She was at Uber to me, and she walked in, and Travis Scott was live on stage in, a decent-sized hotel ballroom size. Yeah. And she was just blown away that she was able to see that. She's walking right up to the front. Fortunately, I had her boyfriend there, and she was very, very excited. And then we walked out of that room walk next door and Megan Stallion's playing Savage as we walk in the room. Yeah. And it's probably 500 people in that room. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And, to be able to show her what we do, for some of these big events. I had done it earlier on when she was younger, and I'd bring her on the golf cart to clean up all of our gear after festivals, but it's nothing like walking in and seeing the show live, at the perfect time to walk in.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's so fun. Your personal most fun moment so far with Amelia and with your business?
That's a great question. I hadn't really thought about that one very much.
All right, we'll come back to that one.
I look forward more.
You want to come back to that one?
I'm not a big rest on my accomplishments person.
Yeah, but we want to know. We want to know that.
Yeah, I just, for me, happiness is working toward a worthwhile goal. Mm-hmm. So I try to set goals. I try to look in the near future and the further future. And for me, the excitement is the chase. The excitement is working towards that goal. Once I achieve it, move on, turn the page.
Right. So
as far as like big accomplishments, I think the fact that we've had to pivot the business 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Where originally we did all film and television production, so we provided security for a lot of the movies that were made in our area, like 12 Years a Slave, Django Unchained, worked with NCIS New Orleans, hundreds of different movies. And in 2016, the state legislature adjusted the film tax credits, and all of our film business went away.
Oh, right.
So we lost it all overnight, and a lot of it went to Atlanta, and it's still in Atlanta. But it necessitated us to try to figure out what to do, and that focus to then move towards events led to us being really the best at security checkpoints, whether it's working with the Pelicans or working with the Saints, working with the different festivals. We now provide checkpoint security at all the major theaters in town, a lot of the big civic centers, auditoriums, schools, healthcare facilities. But had the movie tax credits not gotten changed and lost the filming, we never would have shifted to the events. And now the events are some of the funnest stuff that we do.
So all of it's fun for you, and they're all goals that you're reaching, every single one of them. And so maybe there's a part of that with Amelia too, like you're reaching a goal. She's going into adulthood and doing her thing. So there's a lot of fun in this for you too.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. It'll be fun to see what she does with her life. I'm excited for what's next. What's
been the wildest security request that you've gotten?
Again, it's the last minute stuff. So, we did a big party for GQ, and all of a sudden a very, very well-known rapper got added to the guest list last minute. So the fact that they needed to double what their deployment was. And ultimately, the customer doesn't see any of that. So you want it to be as seamless as possible.
Right.
But, on the backside, we're scrambling anytime we get last minute requests. We want to try to accommodate all of our customers with anything that's reasonable.
Right.
We'll I think a lot of that comes from, I grew up in hospitality in the hotel business. So, we really take a customer service approach to what we do.
Right.
And try to go above and beyond. It sounds like a tagline, but we really do try to go above and beyond.
Do y'all still have any hotels in New Orleans?
A little bit of investments here and there. Okay. Yeah, but nothing that I actively work on.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit to my thing, which I love. Frequencies, alignment, vibrations, manifestation, all that kind of stuff.
That's my wheelhouse.
I know. But seriously, when you started your company and with how you operate it, do you set intentions, not just plans or goals, but do you use your momentum and that power of alignment and frequency to manifest or to actually bring to fruition things that may seem not capable in the moment or something? Do you just know? Do you have that knowing of like, I've got this and this is how we're going to do it?
Yeah. Just because we won't allow ourselves to fail. So,
well, there you go. Well, that is
find yourself a big
manifestation
hole,
at its greatest.
You find yourself a big hole and you start digging. So, we will not allow ourselves to fail. And almost never have we. There's only been one major event where we had any trouble. And that was the NCAA Final Four. And in that instance, I just didn't realize that the entire market was going to shift. And we have a lot of guards that will work with us and they'll work with another company. or they work with us, work with a different company. And I didn't realize that week, everybody was going to reset their pay rates. So all my guards went to their other jobs.
Oh,
Not all, but it was enough that it made the week a lot more difficult than it needed to be. I mean, at the end of the day, the patrons didn't feel any difference. It made for some interesting conversations with my customers, but we always pulled it off, even though sometimes it'll end up being a lot more work.
Do you have any daily rituals or anything that routines that you stick to, that you do, that you believe in?
No, I just try to get some exercise every day.
Yeah.
One way or another. I like to get to the office when I can before other people, but it just depends on my schedule.
Yeah.
So I've found that throughout my career, if I can get there an hour before everybody else and just kind of calmly look through my day, address whatever I need to while it's quiet, and then once the team shows up, just really be there to support them and help them. And, how can I make their day better, and how can I help them solve something that they might be stuck on?
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Do you feel like you have good intuition with business and with parenting?
I think I have vision, and that comes with experience. Mm-hmm. So I can see, to use a New Orleans reference, potholes. So I can see potholes sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, or a month or 6 months down the road. And, I try to do everything I can to identify what I think is going to slow us down, what I think is going to affect us, and either have the team address it or try to help the team address it before we actually hit that pothole.
Right.
Because there are a lot of them. And unfortunately, when you own your own business, a lot of times there's no one to turn to. So the problem will roll up, and eventually it gets to you. It's got to get solved one way or another.
Yeah. So
I can't pass it off. There's nowhere higher to pick it up to.
So we're going to, a couple more questions, and then I'm going to let you go. You have, as my husband, and I do myself, but I'm finding a lot of people don't have like lifelong friends. Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot of people that actually have genuine close friends that they've had throughout their whole life practically. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're so fortunate, because I know you do, because my husband's one of them. I do. How is that? How does that work?
I don't know any differently. I guess I've always gravitated towards smaller groups of people. Mm-hmm. So obviously the friends in Destin, it was very easy to stay in touch with them after we left school, because all spring and summer I'd come here, and my friends from New Orleans would come here, and then fall and winter they would come visit us in New Orleans.
Right.
So you end up seeing those people a lot more, and those relationships are things that they may ebb and wane a little bit here and there, but they're always there. And it's always great when I get to see everybody, and it feels like you picked up right where you left off.
Right.
In our younger adulthood, it was neat to see my friends that I grew up with in high school versus my friends in college. All got to know each other, all got to be friends. At one point, your friend Sonny was living with a buddy of mine from high school, and had I not met all these guys in Destin back at Florida State, they never would have known each other, and
right.
I'm sure their lives would be different at this point.
Well, I think a big part of that too is having that innate ability to just let people be who they are.
Sure,
and
surround yourself with good people.
Right, and
if people
exactly.
are not good people, I don't
right.
give them time of day.
Let people be who they are, and surround yourself with good people. I think those are two really good.
I'm attracted to genuinely good people.
Yeah,
and people who can think through problems different ways. I'm trying to think of a good analogy for it, but there's certain people that can just see through problems, or they can see through problems from a different angle, and those people are people I tend to want to be around. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's really super, a really good takeaway too for even Amelia is let people be who they are. You surround yourself with good people and allow yourself to learn and grow and evolve to where you are the problem solver for yourself.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
And not let negative people affect you.
That's right.
It's hard to not care what other people think, but once you make a conscious decision to do it and just say, look, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be the best I can be, and whatever people think is what people think. I'm not going to change how they think about me.
That's right.
So to not let yourself be affected by that. It's very empowering.
Yes.
And somewhat enlightening.
Very
if
enlightening.
You can stick to it. It's hard to stick to it all the time because obviously, if you upset someone that you care about or someone that you have to be involved with one way or another, it's hard not to be affected by what they think about you. But ultimately, I can't control that.
Right.
I can try to do things to change it, but I can't control how other people feel.
Right.
So I focus on myself.
That's a good thing. All right. Well, thank you so much, Frank. I have loved this time together. It's fun to be able to sit here with just the two of us and just chat.
Anytime. I'm really excited about the new podcast.
Thank you.
Wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you very much. So there's something sacred about the spaces we pivot through, the space between letting go and reaching forward, and the space between who we've been and who we're becoming. And if you've ever felt stuck or unsure in that in-between, maybe what you need isn't a plan, but a little permission. Permission to soften, to feel, to rebuild whatever you want, however you want it. Frank has shown us that the strongest men are often quiet and talkative and wild and calm, and that presence is a form of protection, and that sometimes the greatest legacy a father can leave is the way he shows up for his kids, the moments, the ordinary moments. Here's the pivot. The presence and the parts of you that are still unfolding, embrace them and just live it unbridled. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, stay unbridled.